Hey there, let's talk about sources of sovereignty. So we have this idea of sovereignty, but if you're in control of a state, where does that sovereignty come from? Now, that sovereignty can come from a number of different places, and it largely depends on the state. Number one is the population. So simply popular sovereignty, the consent of the governed. The people want you to have sovereignty, and therefore they allow you to have control of the area you are in. You have the idea of traditional sovereignty, where the territory is sovereign and considered sovereign regardless of who the ruler is. So this system that we've had in place, this is the way it's been for a very long time. You can't really challenge it. It doesn't matter who the ruler is. This is why we are sovereign. You have the idea of the social contract, so the social contract theory, which is where individuals in a state agree to give up some power for the greater good, right? So I give up some things in order to have more kind of freedom, quote unquote. It's kind of like the idea of pooled sovereignty. So the states come together, decide to give up some individual sovereignty for a collective agreement like NATO or the EU. Social contract, I agree to give up some of my individual rights for the betterment of the community. So, right, I agree that there are going to be certain laws that I have to follow, even though those might restrict some of my freedom. But I do that because it's for the greater good of society. I want to make sure that happens. We also had the idea of religious claim to sovereignty. So religion can be a source of sovereignty. Good examples of this would be the Israeli justification for their existence. Really comes down to the idea of religious claim. This was Jewish land. Therefore, we have a right to this land. If you look at Saudi Arabia, the king of Saudi Arabia calls himself the protector of the two mosques. So you have this religious claim right in here. Iran, another theocratic state where you have a religious claim to a particular set of land. Now, we also want to go on and talk about international law. International law can really give you sovereignty, whether or not you are breaking the law and are in accordance with agreed upon principles by all states. That was determining whether or not you have sovereignty. If you invade a certain state and decide that this is now your land, well, the international law is going to kind of step in and say, maybe you're not sovereign right in here. You don't have the control of this area. We also have international organizations which can grant individuals sovereignty or individual states sovereignty. Sahrawi Arab Republic and the African Union is an example of this. This is the area that if you look on a lot of maps, will say simply Western Sahara under Morocco, and there's going to be that dotted line right on top. Morocco does not consider this a sovereign state. They consider it a part of their country that they have sovereignty over. However, the African Union decided to bring them in, therefore granting them some sovereignty and angering the Moroccans. We have the idea of titular sovereignty, which is theoretical without application. So in theory, you have sovereignty over this area. However, it's not actually applied. Other states, particularly powerful ones, can also grant a state sovereignty. So for example of this, you have the United States in 2004, I believe it was, declaring Kosovo an independent state, or 2008, sorry. Correct my dates on that if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Can't remember the top of my head. But the United States, a very powerful country, particularly at the time, declaring that, yes, this is an individual sovereign state. It's no longer a part of Serbia, and a lot of other states kind of followed through. Counterpoint of this would be Palestine. The United States, very close allies with Israel, does not recognize Palestine, and as a result, a number of other states around the world also do not recognize Palestine and don't really give them full and total sovereignty. So you have this kind of counterbalance of ideas right through here. So a number of different ways you can gain sovereignty. It doesn't just rely on one. You can have a combination of multiple, all kind of intervening to make your individual state sovereign. Comments or questions, please do let me know. Otherwise, I can see you later. Good luck.